Cash value is so misunderstood. Is it a savings account? Is it an investment? What is it? Hello and welcome to the Durham Talents channel. My name is Jesse Durham. For today's installation in our EncycloMedia series, we're going to discuss cash value or surrender value as it pertains to whole life insurance for the implementation of infinite banking. Let's begin discussing what it actually is. So when you pay premiums into a whole life policy for the intent, P for premiums, for the intent of implementing infinite banking, those premium dollars immediately create a death benefit. That's part of this unilateral contract. You have been approved by the insurance company, health, criminal background, as a person to insure your life. You're given the opportunity and the right to pay premium dollars in this contract, which buys you this guaranteed death benefit. That's going to be a tax-free windfall to your heirs and beneficiaries. So smaller premium dollars create a much larger death benefit. And along the way, as this contract matures, the cash value increases. As the policy matures, the cash value increases. So it starts out wherever it starts out, and it must increase until it eventually equals that death benefit. So a good definition for cash value at any given time is that it is the net representation today of that future greater death benefit amount. So in the very beginning, you pay a premium and it buys you that guaranteed death benefit, and it also gives you, this contract, a value net today that represents that future death benefit. So the insurance company has guaranteed to pay that future death benefit to your heirs or beneficiaries, and they're saying, well, today, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day, until you're age 121, that value grows and increases. So again, the cash value is a net representation today of that future death benefit, the cash value. Now, because this unilateral contract has that future death benefit and it has a guaranteed cash value as well, I want to hone in on both parts of that word. Cash value, meaning there's a monetary, a dollar amount that this contract, this whole contract is worth at any given point in time. And again, let me focus in on the second word, value. That is a value that can be leveraged. So folks will mistakenly say that you are borrowing cash value. Technically, and more specifically, when you make a policy loan for implementing infinite banking, you're actually leveraging whatever the cash value amount is at that given point in time. You are leveraging that value. So you're not taking the dollars from the policy. You're not taking dollars from a cash value. You're not taking dollars from a death benefit. You're not taking your premium dollars back, not with policy loans. Withdrawals are a separate subject. We've addressed that on this EncycloMedia series. But when you're taking a policy loan, you're just getting a loan from the general fund of the company against the cash value of your policy. So they recognize that contract altogether, that unilateral contract, because of that future greater death benefit amount, is worth a certain amount that they would give you a policy loan against. So the cash value is the leverageable aspect of the contract at large. Now, a good point to make about policy loans is that when you do make a policy loan against your contract, you certainly may not be making a policy loan for 100% of what the current cash value is. Remember, these insurance companies that have been in business and productive, profitable in business for over 100 years are very conservative They're very safe, they're very secure, they are very conservative, even in making policy loans. They're going to hold some in reserve, and that just keeps that policy in good standing. That keeps them, of course, more secure in all of their endeavors to be profitable, which we love because we're using mutual life insurance companies. We are part owners of those companies, and we certainly have a respectable expectation of receiving a dividend, again, because they are so prudent in all of their doings. So the loan amount that you can get access to for implementing infinite banking certainly may not be exactly 100% of what you see as a cash value in your policy. So good distinction to make. It's certainly going to be the vast majority though. So the leverageable value of the contract is practically expressed via policy loans. One example of how you may not get 100% of what the cash value actually is of your policy in a policy loan is, for example, certain insurance companies will, before giving you a policy loan, they will go ahead and take out, or they will withhold, or they will maintain control over the interest that they would charge on that certain amount of a policy loan that you're making in advance, in the expectation that, well, if they don't pay us, then we've already got that on hand to continue with business as normal. Does that make sense? So again, it just speaks to these insurance companies' longevity, their prudence, their conservative nature. And that's a good thing for us because we want them to be here. We want them to be profitable because it makes us profitable. Also then, that means that if you're logging in online and looking at your policy details, you certainly may see the cash value. And again, that's particularly what we're addressing in this episode. The cash value of your policy may be higher or lower than you think it is because, for one, the paid up additions rider is the flexible portion of the premiums that you can pay into your policy, which can certainly create a lot of the early cash value in a policy. But it's also optional. So the insurance company may not reflect that in your cash value until it has actually been paid. Then you can see that update. So you literally may see a difference in one day to the literal next day. If you're watching your cash values closely, you may see those types of fluctuations because you have the right to pay or not pay your paid up additions premiums. And then, of course, that would be reflected in the cash values that you would see in your policy. Now, sometimes you will hear this term of surrender value associated with a whole life and other insurance, but we're speaking to whole life insurance here for the purpose of infinite banking. The surrender value of a policy is the insurance company saying, well, if at any time you want to quit, you want to call it quits, you get mad, you go home, right? There is a surrender value that the insurance company will pay you to take them off the hook for that death benefit amount. So again, that's why a whole life insurance policy has this cash value, because that guaranteed future death benefit is of great value, obviously. So it has a net representation today, even to the point of, if you were to want to surrender a policy, it's going to have a surrender value because the insurance company is willing to pay you a lot less today than that future greater amount. So you will see the term surrender value associated with cash value as well. And with a whole life insurance policy, the surrender value is equal to the cash value. But just remember what we've already said about policy loans may not be 100% of what the cash value is or the surrender value is while the policy is still in force. But if you actually cancel your policy, you would be receiving whatever the full surrender value is of that contract. Another point, and this is so normal to address, I was just on a consultation call with someone today where we covered this idea of, well, if I have an outstanding loan because I've leveraged my cash value, does that lapse my policy? I mean, if I'm taking loans, when do I pay that back? How do I pay that back? Is that going to put my policy at risk? Is that going to lapse my policy if I don't pay that back at all, or if I don't pay it back in a certain timeline? So again, I'm encouraging folks to actively use their policy for, or system of policies for, implementing infinite banking, which means that we're going to be paying premiums. The regular scheduled premiums, base premiums, the minimum at times if we need to, because we have that flexibility in some financial hardship. We're going to be paying extra premiums because we're treating it like a banking system. So that means we want to get as much capital in that system as possible for our private use to be able to grow it and compound it. And we're going to actively be taking loans from our policies for financing the things in our life. So no, a policy is not necessarily just going to lapse because you have leveraged the cash value of a policy. Of course, you should continue making your ongoing, regular, scheduled premium payments. That way, the cash value of the policy continues to rise. The death benefit of the policy can rise. You can be earning dividends still as well. That makes the values of the policy rise even while leveraging the cash value of the policy for infinite banking. So just because you make loans against the cash value of your policy does not mean that you are going to lapse your policy or surrender your policy. So I hope that these details have been helpful about understanding what cash value actually is and the reason why we build policies a certain way for implementing infinite banking, so that you have a significant cash value to be able to leverage even from the start. If you'd like to have a conversation about how to implement the infinite banking concept into your household or your business or your investing, then you can reach me at durhamtalents.com. This has been a great pleasure for me. I look forward to our next conversation. Have a great day. Take care.